I just got back from HH Americas, and this year was much bigger and better than ever. So I figure I'll share with you my experience. So I arrived to Chicago on Monday. It became a tradition, sort of, to meet in my room with a bunch of friends and have a deep dish pizza, some gin and tonic, and a very interesting conversation. So this year I had Roseanne Fleischauer and Bridget from Cowgirl Blues and Katie from Neat Life Oils, and also my friend Ellen from Crazy for You. So they came over, we chatted in the wee hours of the morning, had some deep dish pizza, and it was a very nice, easy into the craziness of HH Americas. This year is the second year that Go Sadie is sponsoring Creator Summit on Tuesday. And it's a wonderful event, jam-packed with all different kinds of activities. So it starts super early, like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it lasts the whole day. There is almost no breaks. It just one activity after another. You have choice of activities that you can choose. So let's go over what I did on Tuesday. So the first thing at 9 o'clock, there was a breakfast mixer and keynote, and Michelle Costa welcomed everyone and told them about the day and what kind of activities they can expect. And then at 9:45, there was a choice between collab and convert, maximizing affiliate revenue through strategic partnership, or the one that I went to was the future of patterns, evolving models, and pattern distributions. And that was a very interesting conversation. There was a board of people who were discussing it.
Good morning. Thank you for bearing with us through our technical difficulties. We're really glad to have this conversation, especially building Go Sadie. It's all about designers, patterns, and distribution. So this conversation as a designer and a builder in this space, it really interests me. I'm just gonna really just turn it over to Trisha Malcolm, who wrote the book on how to do this right. So I don't need to say a whole lot, but Trisha Malcolm, who, as you all know, is with DMC and currently and has previously been the editor-in-chief at Vogue Knitting, has an extensive awareness in this space and has graciously agreed to come moderate for us and lead this conversation into what's the future of patterns look like. This is a huge topic, so I'm excited for this conversation. And I give you Trisha Malcolm and the team.
Thanks, Michelle. Welcome to everybody. It's lovely to see you here, and I hope you're having a great day at the Creator Summit, while the rest of us are down on the show floor building booths, and I'm looking disgusting because of that.
So after that, the next activity was a choice between tech and craft, innovating an application of tech for heritage craft, or the workshop of how to create impactful content that tells your story and grows your brand. So I went to that one just because I'm trying to figure out how to deal with my social media a little bit better and how to create content that you guys can relate to. And then after that, there was community beyond the feed, building real community through emails and private platforms. And also another choice was a workshop about publishing. So it called From Passion to Pages, Publishing, Craft Book, and Discussion. So again, I chose the community building workshop, and it was very insightful. I feel like every workshop was jam-packed with information, and it was interesting to hear different people what they struggle with and what their suggestions and how we can all improve our social media. Then we had a lunch break with some presentations by the sponsors of this event.
Stop by and grab a free tip, and I'd love to talk to you more.
So, hi. We have a really awesome designer program. So if you're a designer, we love to work with designers. And our
My Surrey. Love me some Surrey alpaca.
50, and hang on, I'll show you how that works.
And then after the lunch, there was another workshop. So it was a copyright workshop. I didn't go to that. I went to Pitch It, winning brand deals in crowded creator space. And the thing that I got out of that workshop is that even if you think it's oversaturated market for influencers, there are brands who are looking for somebody who are authentic. And so don't give up and just try to pitch your authentic self to the brands that you love. After that, we had brand mix and matching. So it was sort of like speed dating. There were different brands sitting at ballroom tables, and we were taking rotations, basically going from one table to another, and the brands were giving presentations, like 5 minutes presentations, super fast, telling about what they do and what kind of influencers they're looking for, what type of content creators they're looking for. After that, there was a content creator party. So finally, we got to just relax, have a couple drinks, see some of the beautiful product by the sponsors, and just chat and get to know one another. After the party, there was an opportunity to go and check out the show floor while the vendors were still setting up, basically. So we went with Darren and he showed us around. And here's a little video from that.
Business class. So we did business class. We had a full package of other things on top. We get education activities with Dona, Lorelei as well.
And then there was a super cool event with a lot of attendees. It called Sample It, where some of the vendors had their goods for sale at wholesale or close to wholesale prices. So it was so lovely to see some of the people I already knew and some of the vendors that I used to buy a lot online, but I never met them in real life. So it was really a fun and eventful day.
That was actually good. We will do now. Cowl kit. Cowl kit.
Maybe that's what you do.
Cowl kit. Cowl kit.
All included in here.
We're the only company endorsed by the makers of Sharpie to remove Sharpie.
Yes.
So that's how most people find us. It's the gateway to Amadex. But it was originally formulated as a hand cleaner. So you can see it's a two-step process. As you work the stain, the Amadex binds to it, lifts it off of whatever it is, be it skin, fabric, or what have you. And then because it's a soap, you do have to rinse it. It's not a magic trick.
It's amazing.
It doesn't break it away.
Phenomenal.
And then you see, it takes it away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. Yes. It is not. Yes. Yeah. I think. It's got the little carrot in there. Yeah.
Did you find something shiny?
Our prices on that. really soft.
Yeah, so it's all brand new. So this is the only example that we have of it. And it also comes with big.
Go.
This is the one with the built-in pedal bar. Actually, it's not built, it's interchangeable, and it opens the sheds for you so that instead of going in and out, you just go through. And I figured out after doing this that I could lift up different pairs of threads, and then it would actually make a pattern when you weave it, and that's like the capability of a 4-shaft loom kind of boiled down. I don't know if you're a weaver.
Right.
Right, so all of these that you see here were made with different handle bars that I've designed.
That's very
And
cool.
they're all interchangeable.
Thank you.
Wednesday morning, it started super early again. At 8:30, there was a keynote presentation on state of the industry, and there was a Golden Scissors award ceremony for the best and the brightest and most impactful creators in the industry. And then after the keynote presentation, there was the opening ceremony for HH Americas, and the show officially started.
Look at all of you.
I think it is the mouse, and I ordered some of that. I will. Thank you.
One of the things I was most excited about was the opportunity to meet Kate Fawcett in real life. If you have been on my channel for a while, you know that my interview with Kate Fawcett is one of the most unforgettable experiences for me personally, because I'm a huge fan of Kate's talents. And to see him in real life was just the sweetest thing ever. So Kate was leading an exhibit tour of his quilts and some of his knitted items. And it was just wonderful. Watching him, it's like listening to poetry. It's just amazing experience.
We're celebrating Quilts in London, which is our next book that will come out in a couple of months. We have variations on throughout the show and in the book. Liza did this one, and she, of course, played with the pattern so that it isn't quite exactly the same. All of mine are exactly the same layout, but different colors. But she had fun working with this kind of donut shape here. The book comes out in July. Yeah. It's got the same backing, no surprise there. Oh yeah, and this is called Chinese Rose. This was very interesting when I had my first big show in Sweden after I had a big exhibition in the V&A, Victoria and Albert Museum in London. And then that went on to Denmark and then to Sweden. And to open it, they hired not models to show off the knitwear, but dancers. And so this great big guy stood up wearing this, open to the front with a huge black trousers, and did this kind of Siamese king thing. I mean, it was brilliant. Every time I look at this coat now, I never think of it on a woman. I think of it on this guy with his big chest. This is really, really a fun knit to do if you're into patterns. I wanted to use stripes. When we're in the world of color, creating very, very bright color, is to work in neutrals. So with this knit, a very simple idea of just a little rose kind of Fair Isle knit, which I really like. Just, you know, for once, just reducing things to two colors. This side, you'll see, this is like the very first quilt that we looked at that was kind of grays with shots of color. And here we've moved into really gutsy, hot sort of colors with kind of cold greens, jungle greens kind of coming in. It's very, very active and complex. We've got, this pattern is called Becca, which is just big overlapping flowers. That makes a really good backing. And this was one of my favorite things in the book, taking the diamond design, which is something that we do workshops on all over the world. And it's always intriguing to me how you could do rows of the same pattern and yet break it up by how they intermingle and the way that leads into that and that leads into that, etc. And I really enjoyed working with the harshness of black and white with this pattern, added to lovely smoldering colors of patterns coming in. This is one that I really loved, my bold blooms done with a black and white polka dot background. I think it really works well.
After the tour with Kate Fassett, my next goal was to see Jonah Helen. She is the creative director and CEO of Line Publishing, and she had a special presentation. She came up with a special line of yarn. So it was her designs there and her yarn, and it was just a pleasure to see her again. And I had a little gift for her. So when I saw her at Rhinebeck last year, she told me that nobody ever made her anything, no, handmade her anything. So I decided I'm going to make her a sweater. And her favorite color is black. So, of course, I made her a black sweater. So I was super happy that I had the opportunity to just give it to her. So now she cannot say that nobody gifted her anything.
Decades, and this is now they are doing this signature collection. So this really.
I spent the rest of the day just wandering the floors and seeing some amazing exhibits. So for those of you who don't know what HH Americas is, it's a trade show, craft trade show. So this is where the yarn stores come to find the new and exciting products for their stores. That's where designers go to find some collaborations with the yarn manufacturers. This is where book publishers are looking for their next authors. And there were also a lot of artists having exhibits there. So, for example, another guest of my channel, Yarn Art Guy, was there, and he had a little exhibit there. And also Will Chatlish, who is the artist doing freeform crochet. He was there. He had the booth there. So it was wonderful to see what he accomplished since I interviewed him on my channel. And of course, the most wonderful thing about HH Americas for me, it's meeting old friends and making new ones. And I'm not going to name anyone just because I know I'm going to miss some people. So I'm going to put pictures from H&H here. the end of Wednesday, there was also a beautiful fashion show, and I think you guys would want to see a little glimpse of it. So here it goes. think that Wednesday started early. Thursday started even earlier. So I held a meeting for all the fans of Fiberchats and people who belong to Knitters Gonna Knit group on Facebook. And I was thinking about it as just informal sit and knit, but it turned out into very interesting networking events. So we had designers, book writers, publishers, yarn dyers, artists. It was all very interesting, eclectic mix of people there, but probably around 40 people. And everybody got to meet each other and fangirl a little and create new connections. And I'm still hearing from people who were at that meeting trying to connect with other people at that meeting. So it was actually a very productive meetup. After Fiberchats meetup, I went to another meetup, which was held by the Knitting Guild Association. And again, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that we ran a knit along together recently. And Jennifer, who was the designer of the Pick Your Pattern cardigan, she was there and I got to meet her in person and show her my cardigan. I actually brought it specifically to show her. So it was wonderful to hear more, learn more about the Knitting Guild and their plans for the future. And if you haven't seen that interview, I encourage you to take a look at my interview with Aranda and Donna and Heather, and just learn more about this Knitting Guild and all the wonderful resources that they offer. And then after the Knitting Guild event, I had to go to the main stage because I was interviewing Jonah Larson, who you might know as Jonah's Hands. So he was the next generation artist for this year. Last year, it was Genesis Halls. I interviewed her last year on main stage, and this year the H&H asked me to interview Jonah as their next generation artist. It was such a fun interview because he is a very accomplished young man. He flies airplanes and he sponsored the library in Ethiopia and the soccer team. And he's just wonderful at crochet and very inspiring young guy. So we had that interview on the main stage. But if you want to take a peek at that interview and what it looked like, I put our rehearsal interview on my channel. So check out Jonah Larson's interview on my channel. After that interview, I was absolutely exhausted. So I was just taking it easy and walking through the floor and seeing what other vendors I can meet and what goods they brought this time. So that was basically the end of the day on Thursday until there was a party. So this industry knows how to party. It was at a local club and there was great food. They had awesome barbecue and everybody was just so relaxed and chatting and dancing. There was a lot of interesting dance moves, and also there was a lot of prizes that people were winning. So it was like super fun. Friday, I only had a very short time to be at the show because my plane was leaving early. So I just did one last stroll through the show floor, took some pictures so I could share it with you guys. And then I was off on my way back to Boston. Of course, this show is not for general public, but a lot of people can benefit from going to that show. So whether you have a YouTube channel, or if you are a yarn dyer, or if you are a designer, even a budding designer, you can go there and get some brand deals and just find inspiration and learn about new products and new trends, or just benefit from the general collaborative environment there. This year, they had 5,180 industry professionals there, which was 29% increase from last year. There were people from 48 countries and all 50 US states. There was also 558 exhibitors this year, representing 27 different countries. And on top of it, they had 328 different programs held at this show. So you can see it was jam-packed with all kinds of events. There were classes for store owners, there were classes for different industry professionals, and also this year they had 219 brand new exhibitors, which is 39% of all the exhibitors there. So it's really fast, rapidly growing event. So if you are part of this industry, I couldn't recommend this event highly enough. I invite all my friends, all the people that come to my channel to experience this event for themselves. Well, now let me show you what I brought home. And I have to warn you, most of it were gifts or prizes that I won at the Knitting Guild Association meetup. So let me show you. So at the Knitting Guild show, there were random prizes. So everybody got a little ticket, and somehow I won. So that was the yarn that I won. It's a fingering, 100% wool, 112 grams, 550 yards, and it's Cormo. It's beautiful rose color. So that was my prize. I also was gifted these Likey needles at the Knitting Fever, and the Knitting Fever is the distributor of Likey, so it's a great place to order it. I got this very funky yarn at the brand mixer, and I also met the dyer of Bad Sheep yarn, and she gifted me this beautiful skein. So this is a small batch hand-dyed yarn, and it's 100% grade A mulberry silk, and fingering weight 438 yards. Just look at this color. You know my love of blue, so that was amazing. And then at the Fiberchats meetup, Meg from Megs and Company came to visit me, and she gifted me this mini skein. Look at this beautiful color. So this is Mega Soft Sock Minia, and it's 85% merino and 15% nylon fingering weight. And Meg does these amazing colors. So thank you, Meg. One of the people I was super excited to meet in real life finally was Christine from Treasure Goddess Yarn. I've been a customer of hers for the longest time. I have tons of her yarn in my stash. And so Christine gifted me this mini sampler of her yarn, and it was just super lovely to finally meet her. And also the Knitting Fever gifted me this beautiful, softest possible skein of yarn. So this is 75% alpaca and 25 polyamide, and it's 459 yards and 100 grams, and it's called Harriet Fine, and in this cream light pink color. So I just can't wait to try knitting with it. Another vendor I loved meeting was the Lemonwood, and it's mother and son team, and they create these beautiful spindles that he decorates himself. And you can put your yarn here and then put it on your hand and just walk around and knit with it. So it's a very handy gadget, and I'm hoping to interview them on my channel. I really think they are onto something. Another very interesting product that I received as a gift was these needles from Adi. So this is the new sock needles, but they almost look like cable needles. So the yarn, the stitches just never fall off. You know, when you're knitting with multiple needles, the leathering is difficult to avoid. And these new needles help with that. One product that I actually bought for myself was this brand new Chiago quads. This is the new needles that about to come out. So I got myself one set just to try. And they also coming up with an adapter for their Forte needles that's going to be a swivel adapter. So that's supposed to come out in December. So I'm excited to see that. Another sponsor of the event was Soak, and I got a whole bunch of samples from Soak. And I actually really like the scent of it. I've never used them before, and I've been enjoying using them since I came back. One of the people that I got to meet at my meetup for the first time was Tove Febeng, and she gifted me this beautiful book that she wrote, and it has such gorgeous pictures in it. So I'm actually looking forward to study this book. I didn't have time to truly take a look at this. Thank you so very much, Tove, and it was a joy to meet you there. The vendor that I met for the first time gifted me this mini set. I don't know if you can see the colors, but it's beautiful purples. It's Love, Joy, Fibers, and Needs from Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you so very much. Really one of my new favorite colors, the purple. And an old friend is Jane from Yakashmir Yarn. She gifted me these two skeins. So the brown one is actual yak, the natural color. And this one is Mongolian cashmere, alpaca, and kid mohair. And it's undyed and brushed yarn. So you can see how fluffy it is. A very interesting vendor that I spend a lot of time chatting with and I hope to have on my channel is Storyteller Stitchery. And she creates these beautiful needlepoint kits, which I think is like perfect gift for somebody. It can be for a child or an adult. And it has everything in it. There is printed 100% premium cotton canvas, hand-dyed wool threads, wood thread organizer, needle threader, instructions, charts. How clever is that? So I'm actually looking really forward to trying needlepoint again. I used to do cross stitching a lot, so I'm excited to try this kit. And of course, I had to go and say hello to Carrie Lord from Toft and chat all things crochet, amigurumi, and Martin, of course. So she had this new line of amigurumi toys that I was absolutely smitten with. So this is Clarice the duck figurine. And this is also a complete set. So the kit comes with all the materials to complete the project, including luxury pure wool, quality tools, easy to follow instructions. And there is even video tutorials that are free as part of this kit. So I'm actually super excited. Last year, Carrie gifted me a little octopus that I crocheted. And I'm not a crocheter, I'm a knitter who can crochet, but I love amigurumis and they have such a clear instructions that anybody can figure out how to do it. So stay tuned for Clarice the duck figurine. One of the most popular items at the show was this quick gauge. So you just add it to the fabric and you can see what gauge your knitting is. So this is by Twice Sheared Shape. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant because we're all struggling with figuring out how to properly calculate the gauge. And this is such a quick tool to see if you're on gauge. Thank you for watching my recap. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm so looking forward to next year, HH Americas, to see what's new in the industry and what we can expect for the following year. If you enjoyed this program, please hit the subscribe button and happy crafting, y'all.